Welcome everyone. You've probably heard of many horror stories in the building industry about variations. So potentially someone's just started their job and suddenly they've been hit with a 20 grand variation that the builder didn't allow for. And now they have to pay that in addition to what they've already agreed to pay. So in this episode, we're going to look at ways of how to avoid variations and additional costs whilst renovating. So we're going to welcome back Jane from Distinct Renovations. Distinct Renovations are a family-run building company in Perth that specialise in building timber frame homes and renovations and extensions. So welcome back, Jane. Thanks for joining us again today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Good. So Jane, I'm just going to firstly explain to homeowners that may not be aware of what variations are. So they're essentially changes to what's been agreed in your building contract. So there's sometimes variations that are known, and then there's obviously variations that are unforeseen. And many homeowners who have renovated or built before experience many variations. So some of them can have a detrimental effect on homeowners because variations can add a huge amount of additional costs to what people have already planned for and budgeted for in a renovation. And it even affects their experience of the renovation and other things as well. So what, in your opinion, why do variations happen, or how do they happen?
So, I think there's some variations that happen that are out of anybody's control, and that's generally behind walls or underground or under concrete. Those ones almost can't be avoided. Sometimes they can, but I think the majority of variations that occur in, say, our contracts, and we have experienced a ridiculous amount of variations in the last year, because we were rushed to sign all these contracts, get everything done for the builder's grant. So that has made it even more obvious why variations do occur for most homeowners. And it's purely and simply comes down to planning.
Yeah. If
you do not plan for what you want, if you don't know what you want in your renovation, you are going to make changes and they're going to cost you more.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you like that tap, just put it in there to hurry up and get the contract signed. I think I like that. I'm not really sure. I think I want, I'm okay. I only want, skirting tiles in the powder room. But then the building goes up. You've saved a bit more money. You've been shopping. You've spent more time planning your renovation. And you change your mind and everything's a variation. So now we're going to change the tiling. Now we're going to change the tapware. Now we're going to change this. Now, a variation takes a builder a lot of time to do, a lot of time. Like, it's not just, here we go, we'll just change it. So builders have to charge for their time. So that's why variations, I've heard of builders that charge $500 for a variation fee. Some builders charge none.
Mm-hmm.
But variations will have a margin on top of whatever it is that you change. So a variation generally will always cost you money unless you're taking something out.
Mm-hmm.
And the main reason for variations, in my experience, other than the unknowns, are pure and simply because the homeowner wasn't 100% on their choice up front, or it was a prime cost item that then varied later and was more expensive because they changed their mind on what they kind of wanted or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That, to me, that is absolutely the main reason.
Yeah, no, I agree. And some interesting points there, Jane. The known variations are pretty much the changes that the homeowner has made. And, you use the example of changing a tap, but it can be so much more than that, because if the homeowner isn't clear on, you think of just changing one item for another, but, that other tap could require a different plumbing system or, a different type of, other issue, with tiling or anything like that. So it can be so much more, and the planning that needs to go behind that as well. So there can be a really, it can be a fairly decent cost added on to what you've already budgeted for within your home renovation. So I think that it's really important that people are clear on what they want before they sign the contracts and before they start the job, and it's putting that effort and time into the forefront of your your planning and that pre-construction stage, and not rushing things, so that people are really sure of what they want, so that it's included in the builder's detailed proposal. It's included in the price and the contract, so that people know, okay, this is what I want. And don't get me wrong, it is okay to make changes, and obviously it's your home and your dream space at the end of the day. So if you can change your mind, or you've seen something really awesome whilst the renovation is happening, but it's important then to communicate that straight away with the builder, so they can arrange for that change as quickly as possible, and agree to it. As you said, there's many builders put a large margin on variations for that reason, because it is a lot of time that's added on to the process, and also it pushes out your job time frame as well. So if you're making some changes, it's a day here, a day there, and suddenly you're, for whatever, if you've got 10, 20 changes, there's an extra potential 2 weeks added on to your renovation job. So if you're even potentially, renting somewhere else or staying somewhere else during that renovation, there's another 2 weeks of rent. So you just need to be aware of these additional costs, and before you start making these changes, and it's just to inform you. Obviously, if people want to make the changes, that's fine, but it's just to make people aware, so they can make informed decisions rather than just off the cuff, because it does blow budgets out a lot. And I think that's the known ones, and then obviously the unforeseen ones that you touched upon, they are unavoidable. I think in the previous conversations that we've had, soil reports might be done, and you don't understand then, you aren't aware that there's potential rock. So when you start to do the initial groundworks and you hit rock, then people do face extra charges, because it's not a charge for the builder to wear. It is a charge that has to be passed on to the homeowner. Other issues that we've seen is in particular in Perth are asbestos. That you're not aware of. We do asbestos testing and investigations prior to renovating. However, there is times that there was one job that it was under the slab in the garden. We weren't aware of that could even be possible. But it's these things that they're unknown, and it's just really hard to allow for them. So that's another time that a variation can arise. Especially in renovations in old homes, it's really difficult to know what's behind the walls, under the roof, previous poor workmanship. May I mean that when you're actually coming to do that job and that specific stage of that project, that even though you've made, the builder's been out, he's reviewed the area, made the assessments and investigations, sometimes it's just impossible to know what things are going to be like until you're actually in the throes of the job. So that's under the roof. Can be other issues with under the house, behind the walls, under the floorboards. So it is difficult to know, but those are the unforeseen things. And I think that in our minds, if you have a builder that is spending a lot of time in the pre-construction stage, attending your site, bringing his trades or her trades to site as well, to review what's included, what the understanding what the homeowner wants, and especially if that homeowner is really has made all of the decisions of what they want that final outcome to look like, and they really understand the final goal of their renovation. Then when the builder and the trades then have attended site and they've done their investigations, they've provided the proposals to the builder, and the builder has really considered everything, the only chance then of variations is for those real unforeseen things that can happen. So I think that's one way to really avoid variations, in as much as possible. They can never be eliminated totally, but I think it's just about minimizing them as much as possible, and even even allowing for a contingency. So if you have budgeted a certain amount for your job, if you've got a 200 grand renovation, so even just allowing 20,000, 10% contingency, and you're holding that off in a separate account just to account for potential variations that may arise. I think that is a really smart way to do things, so that you're not dealing with unexpected surprises during your renovation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Contingencies are very important.
Yeah, no, I think that is. I think again, we talked about it in a previous episode, Jane, about the level of detail that's included within your quotes and your detailed proposals. We briefly talked about prime cost items and provisional sum items. Would you like to expand on that at all, about how if you have a detailed proposal and if you're a fixed price and exactly what you're getting, how that can eliminate variations?
Yeah, so definitely we were discussing it in the other episode. So I think if you can try and get your builder to have no prime costs, no provisional sums other than site works, because as we've just been talking about, it's really hard to get to pin that down. But if you can avoid having allowances for tiles, tapware, toilets, everything, cladding, like if you specify every single thing with your builder up front and they have that then specified in the quote, there's little room for variations, and the only variations that should come up will be those unknown items. And then if you want to change your mind, then there's the variations. But I would also suggest speaking with your builder about what is your variation process. How does it work? If I want to make a change, what do I do and how does it work, and what's the time delay and what's it going to cost me? Because if you don't know that and then you've accepted the quote, everything's good to go, and then you go to sign the contract and there might be variation, might explain to you how their variation procedure is, or they might not explain it to you until you've actually signed up to them. But ask them up front, what's your variation process? If I want to make a change, how does it work with you guys, and how much is it going to cost me? Because as I said, I've got a friend that's building through a bigger builder, and he got charged $500 for a variation, and the actual variation cost him $80.
Okay, yeah.
You got to ask your builder. I mean, we tend to, I don't know what you guys do, Louise, but we tend to allow one or two variations at no cost, because we just feel that, look, we're a small builder, we work closely with you, but when you start making 10 variations, that could be 20 hours of my time, trades time, you can't keep making variations. So ask your builder what the variation process is, so you're aware, because you will want to make changes. Like I'm yet to meet or work with a homeowner that hasn't made a variation that wasn't an unknown. So they wanted to change the tiling, they wanted to change their tapware. We get that. And look, to be honest, I build a lot for myself, constantly changing, constantly. Oh no, hang on, this looks different, let's do this. So it's human nature and it's what we do. But understand the variation cost, time and process with your builder up front, so that you understand. Provisional sums, prime costs, try and avoid them as much as you possibly can. There might be one or two, and your builder will explain to you hopefully why they're in there. But just as much as you can avoid them, because they're unknown items until you decide what you're doing, and then it's going to cost you more potentially later. So just try and avoid them if you can. Then going back to our previous conversation about quoting, again, if you don't have prime costs, if you don't have provisional sums, then you can compare, like for like.
And I think excuse me, some builders models, business models do, they give you that in their contracts, then allowances for the prime cost and provisional sum. So I think even on that as well, that if homeowners have a specification list, or like a selections list, and even a checklist on that, so that they have identified the exact make, the exact model, the exact color of the product that they want, and that's included within their contract, then it just eliminates any discrepancies. So the builder's aware, okay, that's the product that they want, the client's aware of what they want. So, there's no room for any change. Obviously, when it comes to the job, there could be slight changes that potentially the product isn't available at that stage. And that's a problem that we're facing within the industry at the minute, with the materials, that there's things that aren't available, or there's not as many, with the deliveries into Perth, there's not as much stock, so things may be unavailable. So it's important also to check when you are making your selections that that they've got a timeline, that they have availability of stock within as well, because we don't need to be disappointed when it comes to the actual job, and then to find that something that you had your heart set on is no longer available. So I think just to add to that, that excuse me, renovating should be, a really enjoyable situation. It should be an experience that you really are excited about, and it can be tarred with variations, because obviously it's unexpected costs. It can delay your project. So it is important to be clear about what you want, and really having a relationship with that builder before you start your job. You need to trust your gut that you've got someone that you can work with, that's not going to, I'm not going to say be contractual. Obviously you need to have a contract for a reason. It's there to protect the consumer and protect the builder, but that is explaining things to you, and that hopefully the communication lines will be there, that contracts won't need to be used, but as long as the process for changes is allowed for. So within Pairway, we do have, if a client wants a variation, they have to complete a change order request, and then that is sent through to the office. Then it's reviewed, the costs are calculated, and then it's sent out to the homeowner with the additional costs. And if they're happy, they're aware then, okay, well, my budget was 150 grand for the job, and now it's going to be 165 because I've added on all of these extras, so that they're aware of that this is what we've allowed for, this is what the builder has agreed to do the job for, but now this is going to increase. And it's just making people aware before they actually agree to do that this is the cost, so that they're rather than all of the variations being left to the end as well, because then that's just again another big disappointment, and people don't know that aren't aware of what that budget blowout could be. So I think that having that good communication with the builder as well is extremely important to eliminate any issues down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and variations should definitely be like you need to know not just what this is going to cost, but what the final cost is, including your new variation. That's important, especially if they're getting bank finance and that sort of stuff.
Oh, Jane, thanks a million for that. I hope it's been very informative for anybody that's following.